Good morning, Justin from Elevation Homes. How are you
Not
today?
too bad. How you doing? We're pumping it up. Even I think
Oh,
pretty sure we're gonna be at doing this in the dark pretty soon. Is he
we
earlier
just keep getting earlier.
every week?
There's nothing wrong with it. We're both up. We might as well
Yeah,
do it and have some fun
yeah,
with it. But
exactly.
here's where I'm going
Sure.
this week, and you've seen this scenario a million times. So I'm driving by this place a few days back, and there's tarps everywhere on the roof, and it's just pouring down. And I'm thinking, oh man, I hate
Yeah.
that when that. I mean, I've had that nightmare. You've probably seen it a million
Oh yeah.
times. Okay, so first question, why are shingles so, you know what I want to use that word, and what are you supposed to buy? Like, what is a good shingle
Well,
anymore? I don't know. Like, you get what you want, the 1 year shingle or the 25-year shingle? I don't
well.
know.
Here's I mean, here's the reality of a shingle roof. And listen, like there's a if you stay on a shingle roof, I mean, there's absolutely nothing wrong with them. I personally actually prefer them. Just because I think they're the best, ratio of cost versus efficiency of, not having water in your house. And that's provided you get a half decent shingle on your roof. But the reality is that all these guys, all these manufacturers, they warranty and guarantee, this is a 10-year, this is a 15-year, this is a 25-year. But I mean, you really have to read the fine print as you, because a lot of these things are tested in like the Midwest, sometimes the southern, it's the southern states, and they're not quite our Canadian conditions, or even close in some cases. I mean, they might have great wind resistance because they're tested in Florida or whatever, but um, they don't go through the freeze thaws that we have, and a lot of the glues that actually seal the tabs to the next course and so on and so forth, they actually the glues freeze up here and then they go brittle and they break. They actually don't seal after the first summer that they're installed.
Really?
No, absolutely. And so there's a couple brands out there. I mean, we've been on the GAF train, the GAF shingles lately. They simply because, I mean, we're 5 or 6 years in now, and they seem to have an adaptability to northern climates, and I haven't had the issues that I've had with a few of the other lower price brands. And you'll even see that the GAF brand is actually being adopted into Home Depot, just because so that there's another option in a big box store that's a slightly more, I wouldn't say a high end shingle, but something that's a slightly better option than what has been previously offered, for roofing at the big box stores.
So why, when they say, is it because of the weather when they say this is a 15-year shingle and then they say to you it'll probably last 10 years? Is that because of where we live? Like,
Generally, yeah. I
what?
mean,
Okay, why did they
yeah,
even put that on
like
there?
I said, when these things are tested, whether they're in the testing center or an actual monitored roof line that they're going to monitor over a decade or whatever, um, it all comes down to, like, when they actually start curling up. When they start curling up, obviously that's the seals are breaking apart. The actual, the body of the shingle itself is collapsing, and when at that point, that's when things start leaking. But usually, in any other climate, but whatever the testing center is, that happens, 5 to 7 years early. The one roof that they get to go that long, they're able to make that claim on that. And but in 90% of the time, a 25-year shingle might get you 16. Even with the best of them.
So okay. So when you're eave trough, I remember this in my last place. The shingle surface seemed to just be building up in there. Like it seemed to just be falling off of it. Like what is that? Like, you know what I mean? Like the fine
Yeah,
grit.
yeah, yeah. And that's I mean, it's basically due to the erosion of the little granules that are embedded in the tar of the asphalt shingle itself. And again, that's all weather breakdown. UV breaks down the materials and all that kind of stuff. And then those little pebbles, they release, and the water, that your waterproofing actually goes less and less and less. The other big thing to consider when you're talking asphalt is, well, when we're talking any roof for that matter, is to make sure, and this is on a re-roof scenario, is to make sure that you've got your ice and water shield at the eaves, which is an
Uh,
underlay. And it's a secondary membrane, and it's actually building code in Ontario to do that. X amount of feet up from the eaves area, and that prevents the ice damming in the winter. It basically gives your roof that last little bit of protection where the water is going to build up just as it pours over into the trough itself. So that's code. After that, an underlayment. I mean, now we're into this synthetic roofing thing, where the underlay is basically plastic or vinyl underlay. So if you can't afford to ice and water the entire roof, which is extremely expensive, then you do a few courses of ice and water shield, which is that rubber membrane, and then you do this synthetic membrane right up, and then you shingle over that. And that not only gives you a second layer of protection that's pretty inexpensive, but it'll actually help insulate the surface shingle from curling up as quickly.
is there any maintenance you can recommend that you should do to your roof? Like, I mean, besides checking it over, there's not much you can do, is
Yeah,
there?
it's gonna do what it's gonna do. I mean, the thing, if you see curling, you want to get those replaced. If obviously wind damage, you just want to try to not let, I should say, the surface be broken for too long if you do get damage, because again, as soon as you start getting infiltration up in there, the kind of the rest of them follow, right? Uh,
Yeah.
the and if and then moving on to the alternatives. I mean, if you don't want any of these hassles, you can go and throw some money at a steel roof, and I mean it is double, but I mean it's generally a one-time shot.
Yeah, and the steel roof, uh, I have one, and I never had one before, and I actually really like it. Like, I got to be
Right.
honest with you, it's kind of like, wow, this is such a nice problem to have,
It is.
right?
It
Because
is.
it's
It's a quite an investment. There's no doubt about it. And there's so many great. I mean, there's so many great profiles now and stuff like that. I mean, like it
yeah,
design wise, I really love it. Um, I actually, but even on my own personal house, I couldn't get past it. There's a huge ratio. I mean, you can re-roof shingles for probably three times for the price of a steel
yeah.
roof. Do you want to do that? I mean, that's the question you ask yourself when you're going to go purchase a steel roof, right? But there again, sometimes it's a pure design thing. I mean, it's some people will spec a steel roof not because of the benefits, because of the way it looks, right? So
Yeah.
it's there's a bunch of different scenarios, but I mean, yeah, if you can get into that budget of doing a steel roof, that's the ultimate recommendation, because it's a one-time deal.
Does it raise the value of your
Oh,
home?
100%. Yeah,
All right.
it on an appraised value, it's not even a question. As soon as there's metal up there, you're instantly up 5-6%, because it's I mean, people know that's, I mean, it's literally the last time they have to do that.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
solid. So what advice would you give when this fella I drove by and I see him out there with the tarps? And when that comes and that happens, is there anything you can do? Like, I guess it's just tarp it, right? Like, I
It
don't know.
is. It is. And obviously, if it's got multiple tarps, there's probably a deeper problem than the roof. Because one little patch is okay to bide you some time, especially in this time of year, it's not too bad. But I mean, if it's been patched two or three times, I think there's more than going on than uh, than just a few shingles. So I mean, it's never going to go away. The water damage is basically the number one thing that condemns a house. Because we've all talked about this before. As soon as there's water infiltration, the mold doesn't take long, and as soon as you've got a substantial amount of mold in your house, I mean, it's basically becomes unsellable. So even if that all those tarps have got you in a spot financially that you just really can't get out of, the more water that's coming in, I mean, you're losing an equity value of thousands per day as things deteriorate. I mean, I'd honestly rather have a small fire in a corner of my house and
Yeah,
put it out than have roof damage or water
water
damage from a
damage.
roof.
You did mention the patch kits, and they're just basically tar, and they're probably just like you said for small situations or a
Yeah.
quick fix. Um, do you recommend them? Like if it's just a
Yeah.
small patch to do?
If it's small and it's temporary, I mean, it's, you know, I would never say that any of those things are permanent fixes. I mean, if you've got, like I said, if you've got legitimate curling or leaking or, you know, shingles that have blown off, chances are, I mean, you need to get that entire roof redone. I mean, it's temporaries or like, and I'm talking a month. It's not anything you want to mess with. I mean, I went and it's funny because it was a real quick story about a roof. I was in West Brant in a fairly new townhouse complex, and I'm talking like less than a decade. And lady phones me up, and she's damn near crying because the water in a rainstorm pours in her patio door. It's the only place she can see it. It pours in the jams behind the casing of her patio door,
Yep.
like Niagara Falls, it's substantial. She showed me the videos. I didn't witness it, but she showed me the videos, and it was more volume than an average shower. Anyways, long story short is the original roofing was so poorly installed from this builder that around one of their exhaust vents that was a roof mounted exhaust vent, the flashings and the well, they were garbage shingles to begin with, but and then the flashings were not done right. And so, and this is in less than 10 years. And I went back and I did my little inspection and so on and so forth. And there was a significant dip in the roof on a 9-year-old home. When we peeled it back, and this is in 9 years, it had the water had been going, obviously getting past this roof vent. It wasn't flashed in, dripping through, and then making its way down the walls, the wall cavity. It had rotted a 2x6 truss to dust.
A 2x6.
Yeah.
Wow.
In 9 years.
Yeah,
in 9 years, and to the point where the roof actually sagged, like something you would see on a you know, early 1900s house, and it actually rotted away too. So the only thing that was structurally there in this little 2-foot section was shingle. That was the only thing that was holding it together. And the shingle had dipped just enough to pour right behind the trough, right down the wall, come right into her kitchen.
Folks, you got to take care of those roofs. Justin's telling you right now. I gotta let him go to work, but thanks for this. Because you got 1 minute left. Give me an update on the housing situation. Everything moving? Waterford, Angling Road.
Our Angling Road house is we're literally on the last week and a half, maybe 2 weeks. You know, Oak Hill has had a lot of action. Unfortunately, we've had quite a few offers, but we haven't come to an agreement on it, so that one is still up. Our Ranchdale house behind Lion Ridge Mall is sold.
So there you go. There you go. Quick
that one never even hit the market, unfortunately, folks.
Yeah, it's the way it goes in this day and age.
That one came out so good, one of the neighbors bought it.
Really? Well, there you go. Perfect. So inspect your roof once in a while. Take a look, folks. And any problems, give Justin a call at Elevation Homes. Thanks for doing this day. Don't work too hard, and we'll see you next week.